Good evening to you. On the business segment of the Ballot Brief this evening, the mining industry along with broader business communities are experiencing uncertainty ahead of next week's polls amid the expectation of transformation as well as reform. Mining communities alike are in a similar position. That's as their continued calls have produced tangible change as far. Meshack Mbangula from the Mining Affected Communities United in Action joins us in studio for this discussion. Thank you so much for your time. 30 years into democracy, what remains at the core of the issues where mining communities in South Africa are concerned?
Yes, it's very devastating to see that is in the 30 years of democracy, which is we have Bill of Rights, we've got Constitution, but all this, it's not really implemented or, complied to. So what happens in this case is that the mines are benefiting from the extracting the minerals, but not really benefiting the communities. We have the prerogative of the mines to make sure that there's social and labor plans to improve the human right, development, but that is not happening. We have done a lot of work to try to do research and do audits on the social and labor plans, which is meant to uplift the life of people in the mining areas. But what we have found out is that most of the mines in South Africa are not complying to that laws that have to improve that. And what we are saying was to see the police brutality into the communities of Bakwena, Bamohopa, in Petani, it's very disturbing. And what is worse is that in that mine, for 2 years, it did not have the license. But the DMRE did not do anything to make sure that mine is stopped from mining. And based on that, did not even consult people. So in this case, for these 30 years, the life of people is becoming worse and worse because the mines itself, instead, we must remember that the mines, people face pollution, contaminated water, forceful removal of people by the mines without consulting them. And that's why we're saying we need the new parties that are going to come in to make sure that whoever wins into the parliament must look at the issues of mining and the law of MPRDA. That law must be amended because it favors the mines. And we want to blame especially Department of Mineral Resources and Energy for not really allowing a mine to legally mine for 2 years. And those communities have been trying to be consulted to talk about beneficiations, and nothing happens.
Let's get into that. So the change of the legalities and policies in the mining sector. Would that be the immediate point of call that you would be making to the 7th administration, whether it's a coalition or the governing ANC or any other party that emerges victorious? How exactly would you want it to be tackled? How are they meant to be ticking the right boxes that speak directly to the issues that you have basically outlined, and they are historic issues?
Firstly, that's very important that you should engage the people that are affected. And obviously, by getting the information of what is happening in their areas, you'll be able to amend correctly so the MPRDA, which is not really for people. And on top of that, we have what we call free, prior, informed consent, which is give people power to be consulted in a meaningful way. So those are the things that we're definitely looking at, the consultation of communities and implementation, not just consult, but there should be action taken to make sure that there is change. And if there's no change against that, obviously we won't be relaxing with that whoever is in the power, because we definitely have 30 years of suffering by these multi-corporations who are just coming in to loot minerals and take that money away from that and leaves our people in poverty, inequality. Unemployment rate is soaring.
It's been 3 decades and quite minimal of a change has been seen, as you've rightfully said. Do you still have confidence in politics to change that narrative as we await to vote and at the same time look towards the reform that is sought?
You see, that's very disturbing because recently we have a summit as Makua, And in that summit, we tried to call all the political parties before they even have their manifestos, so that they can hear what is it that we want the mining affected communities and can be in their manifestos. Only two political parties decided to come because we wanted to give them what is it that we want. Be proactive, not just complain. But unfortunately, they didn't come. And now we see them, even the minister himself, who was going around saying we care for the people. But what happens in Petani, we saw that it's different from what they say they care for the people. Those people were fighting, a clean fight to say, how can we have somebody extracting without benefiting us, and illegally so.
You mentioned that there was an open invitation to political parties in this country for that meaningful engagement that you are looking for, and it did not, manifest in what you thought it would be. You indicate that two political parties have come on board to listen to the communities and mining communities and what it is that they are looking for in terms of progress in the areas that they reside in. In those manifestos, does it reflect in terms of what it is that you want to communicate?
To be honest, nothing is happening there. They talk about they're coming now when they have already manifestos. You see, we don't want to react to what you are giving us. We want to be proactive and make sure we are part of formulating that manifesto, because you just come in with what we don't want. So it's very little that they have. They're talking about houses, jobs and everything, those are some of the things. But we need to change the mining, because the mining sector is not complying with the laws that they have to develop the human resource people in the mining areas and make sure we need people to have skills. Not everyone will be employed in the mine, but we need to make sure people have skills and can become marketable in other sectors. That doesn't happen, and they take millions away from that. If they can't skill the people in the mining areas, definitely sure we will be able to see people doing their own jobs, developing skills, but that is not happening.
In your organization's view, would you say that politics are allowing mining giants to operate as they have?
No. We seriously trying to engage. We engage the DMRE. We engage the mineral resources, minerals councils to say, look, we did not just complain, but we went out and do audits in all the 8 provinces where mining is taking place, and make sure that we have reports of mining not complying with the social and labor plans, which is mainly to upgrade the life of people, and we gave it to them. But as of today, DMRE have not even opened a platform to talk to us to say how do we make sure. But what is worse is issuing of licenses without making sure there are social and labor plans. How are you going to make sure that community is being developed? It's easy to learn. And when we engage to them that mines are not complying, they say they don't have capacity to monitor those mines. How do you grow the mines and then you cannot even monitor? Because people are forcefully removed. People are when they blast, the housing are cracking, blasting, pollution, no water. It's very bad.
As a highlight and a parting shot, what would you name as the top 3 that mining communities should be voting for when we go to the polls next week?
Well, we look at the issue of, because mining is a core business in South Africa. So, and what we look at as the core business, what is it that is doing for the communities? Absolutely nothing. But in fact, we're facing the brunt of devastation of the mines. So the changing of the laws and making sure it's somebody that will hold these mines accountable and even have the free, prior, informed consent principles made to be legislated. Those are the one we are looking for. But as we speak, none of these political parties is having that.
Thank you so much for your contribution. That's Meshack Mbangula from the Mining Affected Communities United in Action, talking to us on the business segment of the Ballot Brief about reform that is sought by mining communities in this country.